provocative, prophetic, and practical.
Have you ever found yourself?
Are you dating for that purpose?
Informative and
I feel
inspirational.
every bit of it. Like, I'm not trying to waste my
How you gonna do better if you don't know what better looks like? I do. Come on, let's talk about it with me, the mind massager. Y'all come on in and share this. I'm trying to get it shared to a few people myself, so give me a second. With James Kirkland. All right. Let me cut that out. All right, good. That's it. I usually transition my music a little smoother, make it sound a little bit smoother transition. But hey, whatever. Whoever's on gonna be on. I'm gonna stop sharing it if they know we're on tonight. So boom, let's get it started like that. What's up? What it do? Time for another episode of the Intellectual Stew with yours truly, James Kirkland. And I want to invite you to share this, share it. I'm still sharing it, because I do have people that rock with me, and sometimes they forget. So I can say, hey, you hope you show up, and then they might not show up, and then, or I could have just said, you know what, send out the little link. So I'm sending out the link. I'm sending out the link, and I'm excited about tonight's conversation because it emanated from last week's conversation. So, and I'm excited. So I really want to give some people time to get in so we can get started. I got a couple of people that are going to come on tonight, and they're going to share their opinions. And let me preface this by saying that all of these are our own personal thoughts, right? We don't, I don't give you right or wrong answers. Now, I will give you right answers according to the word of God. Don't get me wrong. Now, I will do that. But as it relates to your life, for the most part, I'm not going to give you the right or wrong answer. I'm probably going to give you a relevant answer, right? Something I'll help you find a relevant answer. And what we do on this show is we come in and we share our personal convictions. And when we share those, then we hope that it is our desire that somebody is eavesdropping, right? And if they're eavesdropping, then they can pick up some nuggets. Because one thing about I learned is that culture is created. You all have a certain culture, or you grew up with a certain culture in your house. I grew up with a certain culture in my house. I might know the difference between a salad fork and a dinner fork. You might be cool with a plastic fork, whatever works, do what you do. And typically I find that most people argue over opinions, and that's kind of crazy to me, because it's your opinion and my opinion, and why and what you eat don't make me excrete. So so we just gonna have this conversation tonight. We're gonna talk, we're gonna share, and we're gonna come away with an understanding. And you can do, you can do what you want to with it. Like I said, but this conversation emanated from last week's open mic night. And I want to tell you all, as we get started, I appreciate you all, those of you all who come in and you share, you know, because it's my desire that it's not me having a monologue. I want to have a dialogue with the audience. I want you all to communicate with me. I want you to share your convictions. That's why I put I got to turn the phone on. That's why I put the phone number on the screen. Let me turn it on. I put the phone number up for those who are afraid of getting on camera. But I already have the camera pinned there. Don't come on now, please. I'm not ready for you yet. I promise I love you, but I'm not ready for you yet. Because we're going to start talking about something initially, and then we'll move to another conversation eventually. As you come in, say hello, say hi, say what's up, say cat, dog, say boo, say something. Let me know where you're listening from. And be sure to share this, okay? Because tonight we're going to talk about a taboo subject called about the alpha female. So let me do my quick introduction, because y'all know that I told you I'd have to do this for recording purposes when I upload it to Spotify and whatnot. But here we go. Let's get it started. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back. Hey, what's up, Joe? Good evening and welcome back to Open Mic Night on the Intellectual Stew, where the mic is open and so are the minds. I'm your host, James Kirkland II, but tonight I'm not the voice you need to hear the most. I'm just here to moderate and guide the discussion. Why? Because this topic, what's up, Kanjua, hits close to home for a lot of people, especially women. And I don't believe, Joe, this is just me talking, I don't believe it's a man's place to tell women how to be women. So, fellas, tonight we're going to take a back seat, all right? Last week we had a moment that stirred up a lot of conversation when Jennifer identified herself as an alpha woman, period. She said, I'm an alpha woman. And that one statement sparked opinions, Facebook posts, and a lot of strong feelings, including a guest that I invited on tonight by the name of Evangelist CJ, who saw the show and challenged the very idea of the alpha woman. So tonight, both of them are here, and we're going to unpack, explore what it means, and give space for everyone, give space for everyone to respectfully weigh in. So buckle up, because this is going to be a good one. All right? Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Y'all ready? All right. So what I want to do first is I want to share the clip from last week just to give everyone context. Okay. So let me hold on. I thought I was ready. Let me pull the clip up, and then we're going to bring Jennifer in, and we're going to get this conversation started. All right. So here is the clip.
I only asked my husband. The only thing I told him was never tell me no. If you never tell me no, because strong women, alpha women, I'm an alpha woman. If you tell me no on something that I enjoy doing, I'm going to buck against the system.
But once my value declines, if I'm not giving you what you need.
That's all. That's all I wanted to play right there. I wanted to play. She said she's an alpha woman. She said one thing she told her husband in the beginning is not to tell her no. And I put that conversation out there, and and people had their responses to it. They had their responses to it. So, and like I said, CJ had but before we bring CJ in, let me make sure Jenny's ready. I don't see her face. Let me see if Jenny's ready. If she's not, then we'll go with CJ first. Okay, Jenny is ready. All right, I had to see that face, Jenny. If I didn't see it, I was gonna move on. All right, here we go. All right, Jennifer, thank you for being here. Now that we've seen the clip again, I want to give you the floor. When you said you're an alpha woman, hold on, and don't answer right away. But what did you mean by that? And what I mean is, and when you talk about that, where does that confidence come from? That identity, and how do you define alpha for yourself? Tell us where that statement emanated from.
Well, first and foremost, thank you again for doing what you're doing, the open mic. night. I love the open forum where we are able to come together and, everybody has different views on things, and just where we have a place, a space where we can just come and talk, because, everybody has a different view on situations. When I made that comment, I wasn't really able to go into context of what I was saying about being an alpha woman. When I say being an alpha woman, that is all in my entrepreneurial pursuits. I'm very well diverse in it. I've been an entrepreneur ever since I was 8 years old. And so that leadership role, I've always kind of been that girl. I've always kind of been in that place of leadership. I've always been assertive. I've always kind of been confident from a very young age. And so when I think about alpha woman, or I don't think about masculine traits. I think about being assertive. I think about being confident, and I think about being a leader. So when I said that, the only thing that I asked my husband was to never tell me no. That was solely in my entrepreneurial pursuits. I very well know what it means to be submissive to a husband. So it had nothing to do as far as the relationship. It had everything to do with me pursuing my passions and my goals in life. I laid that out on the table from the very beginning. Being an alpha woman isn't about dominating others or anything. It's about owning my power and being, a positive force in the world solely. That is solely what that was about. So I knew it would spark up something because maybe by the force that I said it, never tell me no. And that's what I asked my husband, and my husband was totally understanding with me saying that, in the context of me saying that. And that was all in my entrepreneurial pursuits. It had nothing to do with the role that I would play as a wife. I know my role, and my role in my marriage is to be his helpmeet, to meet him. So that's what that was all about. So, I mean, I love it. I stand on that. But I was open to hear other people's views on that. I didn't take it, in a bad way. I did look at some of the comments, and I was able to have an open heart and listen to where they were coming from. And I still stand on it. It's solely in my entrepreneurial pursuits. Never tell me no in pursuing my goals and dreams. I just felt like it was misunderstood. I really do. But I mean,
well, that's cool, because of course, that wasn't the topic of last week's conversation. So you didn't get a chance to unpack that, right? Because we were on a certain vein, and you hit it, quit it, and then I put snippets out. I mean, I put out reels, and the reels, they did what they're supposed to do. They sparked conversation, right? I
loved it.
But I like the fact that CJ responded. You know what I'm saying? Because some people don't see it the way you see it, and so even if her message is non-applicable to you, you know what I'm saying? So put those shoes on or whatever. And we don't even know what her message is, but I'm gonna bring her in and so I'm gonna pull you out for a second, and I'm gonna bring CJ in, and then in a few minutes we can come back on together. Okay. So so I'm pulling you out. All right. So y'all, we heard from Jenny. Jenny put the quote out last week. She's an alpha woman. And that she told her husband never tell her no. Listen, if y'all are talking, say hi. I mean, say something if y'all are listening now. Let me know you're there. Share this, heart it, do something. Let me know you're there, because we're going to get this conversation going even deeper a little bit later. But I want to bring CJ in now and see, because she watched last week's episode, and she had a very different take. So CJ wrote a post, and she can talk about it when she comes on. Here she is. CJ, you wrote a post basically debunking. First of all, say hello. I'm sorry.
Hey, hi. How are you?
I'm so bossy. My bad. I guess I never called myself that, but I hear
I appreciate you having me on, Pastor Kirkland. Thank you so much. So
go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
no, you're good. I'm Evangelist CJ. I'm so glad to be on for a first time, the intellectual stew, and be able to give my perspective to what Jennifer said. So thank you for having me.
Well, we're glad to have you here. And the way I'm gonna be honest, I'm not into celebrities and and all those types of things. So when I scroll, and I'm not really a scroller, I'm more of a poster than a scroller. But when I scroll, sometimes people's posts catch my eye. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't just see what they're saying. I kind of look at the mind of what produced the post or whatever. Because I'm not into just frivolous things. So she put a post out last week. And it was about those dogs. I remember which one it was. Now it's about that one dog that walked up amongst all those dogs and just shut it down. And it was so much depth to that thing. We could talk about that post like all night long, and I would love it, right? But that post was really good. So I went in the inbox. I'm like, listen, I got to get you on the podcast. But anyway, last week you wrote a post basically debunking the idea of the alpha woman. The mic is yours. Go ahead.
So to hear Jennifer speak, and it's always good to get the entire story. So I'm hearing a different perspective from her tonight. And let me just say this. I love the fact how you introduced, putting out about respect. I do want to be respectful because it is my opinion versus her opinion. And so with her bringing a different perspective tonight, maybe we can go a little bit deeper just for clarity for both of our understanding, because that little snippet that I saw, I did somewhat disagree, and not with just her. I think the climate of women today, we often hear alpha female. And so I think there are some misconceptions based on my perspective. And so when I saw it was kind of, alarming a little bit. And maybe we can kind of go back and discuss that video versus what she's also saying tonight and why I responded the way that I did. So what I did hear was, between her and her husband, is that her husband could never tell her no to anything that she wanted. And if he did, she would buck the system because she's an alpha female. So I do get it tonight. The comment that was made based on this is just the entrepreneurial attitude. So now that changes a little bit, because that is actually what I did place in the comment about being an alpha female. I don't typically agree with the term alpha. I think that it is something that was established late. Like, we have a lot of terms now that I really like to deem as a conditioning process. Sometimes we put a lot of stuff out here in the atmosphere and we start believing that we are these things. If I were to reference it from a biblical standpoint, God says he's the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. Now, we are created in his image, of course, but we have roles that we have to adhere to. And that is the masculine role and the feminine role. And so we can go a little bit deeper into that. I do want to just first read this definition, if you don't mind. I don't know if you want to wait till you bring her on, but let me just cover this really quickly. What I did research, it says that an alpha woman, the term is often used to describe a dominant, confident, and ambitious woman who is comfortable in positions of leadership and authority. She's characterized as assertive and not afraid to speak her mind. She's goal-oriented and ambitious, intelligent, and strategic, and not a pushover. I'll leave it at that until you bring us on together.
So back on. All right, so I'm back in here. All right, Jenny, you about ready? All right, cool. All right, so listen. So those in the audience, go ahead. Like I said, if you haven't shared this, go ahead and share it. I want to ask the ladies, and I'm gonna go ahead and ask the men. All right, but we're not sharing our opinion. Let me say this as well. I don't think a man can tell a woman how to be a woman, just like I don't think a woman can tell a man how to be a man. Now, I can talk about what type of woman I like. I can talk about what type of woman I'm attracted to. But when I say that, that doesn't mean that I'm speaking that all women have to be this type of way or yada, yada, however, any of those types of things. So if a man, brothers, if we're saying something, you're talking from your own perspective, okay? Don't try to act like you speak for everybody else, because you don't, all right? We're anatomically, God made us with a different fingerprint. So I'm sure we got different ideas. We got different perspectives, some different, you know, so what if I say something, trust me, it's not a judgment. I'm not trying to tell you how to be, any of those types of things, but I'm really want to just pay attention. But let me ask a question. What do you all think, apart from CJ's definition, apart from Jenny's explanation, when you think of the term alpha woman, what is an alpha woman? What is an alpha woman? What do you all, is it a negative connotation? Is it a positive conversation? I mean, a connotation. What do you think when you hear the term alpha woman? I had a conversation. Oh, let me bring Jenny in. I'm sorry, Jenny's ready. All right, come on in here, Jenny. All right, so y'all. All right, so I'm glad y'all can speak. Y'all waved. Okay, cool. All right, so CJ said.
If you don't mind, I don't mean to cut you off. I do want to speak to you, Jenny. I appreciate.
Nice to meet you.
And so we could just have this conversation.
Yeah.
But glad to meet you here.
Nice to meet you too as well. And I really and I really dig deep into your comment, and there are parts of that I totally agree with. Again, like I stated before, it was from an entrepreneurial place. And if I could change the word from alpha, I would say a powerful woman in leadership, because that is who I am. I am very, like, by nature, my nature is very assertive. I am a person that kind of takes charge. And that was something that my husband loved about me during our courtship. He loved the entrepreneurial boss, handling business side of me. So that's just my makeup. I'm in my marriage, I am very, very soft, but this attitude is from a business standpoint, as I move into, the term alpha woman.
And so I will say also, I've been in business for quite some time, owning my own business. And even now, I manage over 400 people, where less than 10% is female. So I'm dealing with men all day long, all day long. I too am a strong and confident woman. I don't think that I would ever characterize myself, however, as an alpha female, and I'll tell you why. And again, let me say this, not to diminish or bash anything that you said. I think it is the climate of society today with putting these definitions out there. I think there's a misconception behind that term,
Right.
For female, because we hear it, and usually when I hear it, I hear a bunch of ego tripping. And so I think it is basically women empowering themselves to have leverage over a man or your husband, or any man, so to speak. So with that being said, I think me being an evangelist, having to go back to the Bible, I think there are some things that we have to understand, especially when it comes to roles, the male role versus the female role, which was from the beginning of time with Adam and Eve. And so when their union was established, God made man head of household. And so with man being head of household, we as women cannot empower ourselves to have leverage over that man.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? It does not mean that we're not strong. It does not mean that we're not confident, but we cannot be arrogant, and we cannot, and the reason I'm going and saying all of this, again, what I heard was my husband can never tell me no. Now, what those certain things are, I do not know, because I only saw a snippet of that. So in all fairness, when I heard that, my husband cannot tell me no. Even with that being said, that doesn't compare to the definition of an alpha woman. The concept of telling your spouse what you will or will not do, to me, it is bucking the system. But does that come down to a lack of respect in the marriage? That's not alpha or omega. The two are joined together and they have a union. What am I saying? Basically, if we love one another, would we not be able to communicate? Now, I will say this, with the man being the head of the household, that does not mean that he is supposed to be dictator. He has a leadership role that he has to fulfill. And there are some things that he would need to do as a role, the role of a man. I'm going to tell you this, as a female, that's a lot of weight that's on a man to have to carry the leadership responsibilities and make sure his family is equipped. We as females have a certain role. And look, I would gladly give that man all that weight. I don't want all that pressure that you got to deal with as a man. But I think also, in order for that man to respect his wife, his marriage, and for the children to respect the woman and the father, or any man, is that we have to present ourselves as such. What is it that that he cannot tell you no about? If I'm in a unionship with my husband and he tells me no about something that he foresees that will probably endanger me, we need to have a conversation. If he tells me no and I disagree, we need to have a conversation, and we need to come to an agreement. And even in submission, I feel like you don't get to just buck the system. Again, there has to be some kind of agreement, even if we agree to disagree. So I was kind of challenged when I heard that, because the last thing you want to do is disrespect one another. And that's not submission unto your husband, as he is supposed to be submissive unto Christ, so to speak.
That was established way before the union, during courtship. So he already knew, and he already knew what my dreams, what my passions were as far as business, and he supported them. He understood my position as an independent, woman. He understood my independence in entrepreneurial. So this was established way before we got married. This was in courtship. So he had a choice. And he chose to support. As far as bucking the system, maybe I really think that kind of like sparked up something, because it's like it almost kind of was like because I went back and I looked at the video and I was like, oh my God.
I will say this, I do know that there are other women that, and even for myself, I will say that I think society has place, especially for our culture. Men, in a sense, are lower. and let me make sure I'm very clear when I say this, rightly divide what I'm saying. And so there's a lot that they have to compete with, so to speak. So when we feel that we're independent women and we carry these titles in leadership, and I often have to remind myself and others, especially for women, you have to leave certain things in the workplace, especially when you come home.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that I need to rule and reign over my husband.
Now now I'm glad you said that. I promise you, this is totally in the workplace. When I am at
Right,
home, those are two separate,
right,
those are
right,
two separate, things. I dare not
right.
belittle or make my husband feel less than the head.
And I know other women will watch this and are watching. And I do have to, like I said, remind others that, hopefully they'll gain some clarity out of this. This is not about scoring points with me or anything, because it's a lot on their side as well. I think in today's time, we have displaced our roles as male and females.
Mm-hmm.
We see a lot of men out here that are weak. I don't know how else to say it. And I think with that being said, woman has lost her place and she's trying to fulfill his shoes. And so this is what we get. So even when I'm managing with the number of men that I have to manage, I'm very respectful.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, I can give a command or an order based on my job function, but not with the ego.
Right.
I would never emasculate a man. And I would tell you, I gained so much more respect doing it the way that I do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I do that maybe because of my call, but just out of respect, period.
Right.
I have a father that I totally respect my father. And I saw my mother respect my father. So with that being said, and this may be a little bit off. I remember when I was younger, I used to ask my mom, "Why do you serve my dad? Why do you fix his plate? And why do you?" And she said, "Look around, look at all the stuff that we have and what he does, and he makes sure that we're okay." And she said, I have a role as a female to do what I need to do, and he makes sure that these things are taken care of. So I grew up with that mindset of just respect, period. And not only just for the man, I respect myself as a female.
Can I jump in? Can I jump in?
Absolutely.
All right, let me jump in. And y'all in the chat, y'all quiet tonight. I need y'all to talk to me for a minute. Y'all's too quiet for me tonight. But listen, I think this, and I don't have an opinion. I like strong women personally, because when I get home, I don't even want to think. You know what I'm saying? I want to sit down and be quiet. I don't want to do nothing. And I don't have to. I am not threatened by a strong woman or anything of the sort. I'm not at all. That doesn't bother me. I don't have to call them. I don't have to put a label on it, because I've never heard a man say I'm an alpha man. You know what I'm saying? So, but you can just be strong, and that's my opinion. But this ideology of an alpha woman, I think, when you get deep into the root of things, for instance, like those of us who've read Willie Lynch's letter, right? Willie Lynch's letter, when he talks about how to break a slave, he talks about when you break the slave, the way you do it is through the woman, because the woman controls the children, and the children are the future, right? And what he said something very specific in that letter, CJ. He said that if they do it right, that they would reverse the nature of the black male and the black female, because the woman, watch this, Jennifer, would raise the daughter to be psychologically independent, but she would raise the son to be physically strong but psychologically dependent, right? Because when you broke the slave, right? One thing they would do is when you caught a belligerent man, they would put him in front of the community and they would tar and feather him and set him on fire and put 2 horses. I didn't never realize Levi, but I'm gonna leave that alone. But they were pulling this man apart, right, in front of everybody. And when as soon as the mama saw this man get done like this, she would grab the little boy and pull him close and say, you know, I'm never gonna let that happen to you. So she keeps him close, and in the process, he's physically strong, but he's psychologically weak, right? And over time, you know, because mothers encourage their daughters, and they go get the bag, you know, get all the education, get all you can all you get, and ain't nothing wrong with that. I'm with that, but I think over time that mentality has shifted, because for some reason, Jennifer, along the way, I hear young women now saying grandmama was weak. And I think about what grandmama had to endure, but you got the nerve to call her weak because you got a little education now and you got a little position. And I get it. And I applaud you for that. But I think that's the kind of thing that fuels this ideology of an alpha woman. One of y'all, if y'all want to respond to that, y'all let me know. This is just me thinking off the top of my head.
I totally agree. I can agree with you in that point from my own personal experience. With my first marriage, I was left with 2 small children. Now, mind you, I already was a leader, a person that took charge, but this caused me to go into overboard, to do what I had to do for my children. So it was like I went into, you know, overboard. So now, you know, as a person, I'm gonna make it happen regardless, by all means. And so that same energy, when it comes to business, handling things for the one thing I can say, my husband was having, if he had to be shipped off to war again, he can know without a shadow of a doubt that his wife was going to handle what was going on in the house until he got back. So I think society, that men do not step up to the plate. I can't say that for my household, my husband does, but I'm just saying for society, that's how it looks. That's what it looks like. So I feel like that's why a lot of women do take charge or do what they have to do, because they don't, and not wait on a man to do it.
So if I could just chime in on that, what you said, Pastor Kirkland, I highly believe in what they did with the Willie Lynch letter, to break a slave, to break the mindset and break the mentality. If you look at social media today, it's doing the exact same thing. And I often say it as a conditioning process. And if you look here lately, like they have all the fighting, and, you know, you log on, especially like Instagram or something like that, you see these females just half naked or naked, basically. There's no shame. And it is a conditioning process to break us all down. And to me, specifically, a specific culture. So we have to be mindful of what we are taking into our spirits and into our mental capacity. I tell people all the time, if you think you cannot be deceived, you already are. As far as grandmothers being weak, of course, in this day and time, people will say that because we have basically so much at our fingertips. We have a microwave generation where we can access anything, versus those of the past, the old, that had to, you know, work. And I'm talking about out in the fields, and, you know, they were slaves, and they had to basically die, become martyrs to give us what we have today, basically. So I think sometimes this generation, and what's sad is not only the younger people our age, because now we've been so conditioned, we forget what our grandparents have gone through. And the delusion is heavy and it's great out here. So now we have our generation who should know better acting unaccordingly. And so now the kids are just a reflection of what we are passing on. And so how do we get us back? I think we are very far gone. I think through prayer and worship. Now there's coming a time, if you believe in the Bible at all, the last days is coming upon us. And, you know, we're supposed to study to show ourselves approved. We are to be, you know, engaged in church services. The Bible says don't forsake going to church, but the churches are beginning to look like the world. There's getting ready to be a great apostasy where people fall away from the church. So order is basically out of order.
So you're saying don't teach our women to be strong, confident, and successful?
No, I'm absolutely not saying that. We were instilled with that. That's where the misconception of alpha comes. That has nothing to do with it. When Eve was established, if you go back and look, and if you look at the order of women, we have Deborah, who was a judge in the Bible.
Absolutely.
We have characteristics that and qualities, even in being submissive, and which was one of the things I said in the beginning. This does not minimize us to be less than. Spiritually, the male and female are both equal. Physically, we are not. We are the weaker vessel. However, with that spiritual concept, we are still strong-minded, still confident.
So it's the name that bothers.
It's the misconception of the name. When you start ego tripping, when you get to a point where you're overbearing, where you are intimidating, and when you are arrogant and you say, I need to get my way, I'm going to do it this way, or else it's not the characteristics of a female. I'm around men all day and I don't have to do that. The Bible describes the woman as having the characteristic of wisdom. It's a feminine trait.
But saying that does not mean that.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the first part.
I said, saying what I desire and what I wanted does not mean that I'm a woman of you know, not having wisdom. I was saying what I was desiring and wanting. And if you wanted to sign up for that, then you could.
Okay, so let's take it back a little bit, because I think, again, and maybe I'm not explaining it where I can kind of clarify my perspective on that.
Hold on, CJ. Hold on real quick. Hold that thought. Because I want to get the audience involved as well, because this is CJ's perspective. This is Jenny Love's perspective. But I see Renita, I see Carisha, I see Donnie, I see Myra, I see other ladies in the audience. What's your perspective? Is alpha, because what it almost seems like CJ is saying, and she might not be, and Jennifer saying is definitely not her, is that the term alpha seems to carry a masculine trait or a masculine connotation. And Jennifer saying, I'm far from that. You know, only reason I'm saying is only reason I even use the term is for the entrepreneurial things that I want to do. But I'm at home. I'm sorry. But I've seen you at home, but I watch how you raise your son. I've seen a lot of things you do at home. So I get it. And I know your journey and all those types of things. So I get that. But I want to hear from some of the other ladies now. And CJ is not, I don't hope she's not being dogmatic. She's just saying what the term alpha really means and the connotation that goes with it. Now, terms are relative, right? You got euphemisms. You got some words that, I can say break a leg, when you go out to be an actor on a play, and I say break a leg, I'm not literally meaning go out and break a leg, you know, because that doesn't make sense, you know. But so for her to say I'm an alpha female, and now she's brought clarity to it. Now CJ's not speaking to Jennifer anymore. CJ's speaking to women who might be misusing the term alpha female, and that's why I want to make sure. So,
and
ladies
I totally
in the chat,
agree. I totally agree.
and ladies in the chat, help me out real fast. Y'all talk back to me for real. Help me out. Alpha. Okay, here Myra is. Alpha carries the connotation of being a leader, not submissive. So I get that. That's Myra's take on it. Alpha carries the connotation. So Myra, would you consider yourself to be an alpha female? That's the question. And I'm gonna put that question back up. And ladies, if you all don't mind engaging me, do you consider yourself to be an alpha woman? And I'm not talking about AK, I'm talking about alpha female, alpha. And if you do, why or why not? Y'all talk back to me. Give me a little engagement right quick. And let's get this algorithm going, and we're gonna get a little deeper in this conversation. All right, I cut you off a minute ago, CJ, and I gave you time to get some more thoughts together. So come on with it. Talk to me.
So as to go back there, I think tone is everything, coming from both male and female.
Yes.
I think this alpha thing originated with scientists studying animals, and they came up with a woman being able to have these masculine traits in the workforce. So again, based on what I heard that was said, you know, my husband can never tell me no. And then other women out here thinking that is a mechanism to be a boss bee. That's another term that I often hear women say. I'm
a boss. What? No, I'm joking.
Boss. I'm not gonna say it.
I'm gonna make the evangelist say it. A boss what? No, I'm joking. You can use
and that's far from my personality. I would never throw anything around like that. That is so distasteful.
Women out here that's doing it. It's in music, it's on TV, and a lot of the younger generation feel like there are so many things that they have to do and they have to have in order to be this aggressive woman. And again, it's out of order.
So let me ask you. So
I wonder, aggressiveness for a woman is out of order.
Rightly divided. Rightly divided. Yes, it is. I think a woman being. I think there is a time and a place for a woman to be aggressive when need be.
Can I ask you a question?
Can you give me an example?
When she's being disrespected by anyone.
So a woman being disrespected, she needs to get on the same level with whoever is being aggressive with her.
She doesn't have to get on the same level as them, but her voice needs to be heard. Her voice can be heard by being aggressive with the words that she chooses, not cussing, not nothing. Aggressive.
Now we have to define what aggressive means.
True.
Yeah, I almost think you're using the. I think you're describing assertive versus aggressive.
I was getting ready to say assertive.
Yeah, there's a difference between aggressive and assertive.
There is.
And so if I can go back again, I think the misunderstanding is that even with a woman being submissive to a man, does that make her weak? That does not make her.
No, it doesn't.
It does not make her. We weren't created. We were actually created equal. Eve was created as a helpmate.
Right.
So that never should come across as we need to have arrogance to get our point across. We don't have the ego trip to get our point across? I'm a dresser. I love to dress. I'm going to be in my high heels. I'm going to be in my, but I'm also going to carry myself a certain way. Different from what I see. I don't have to be half naked or naked to get my point across or to be seen. Sometimes I can say nothing and have more power in the room than other women that I see with this alpha female attitude. And especially when it comes to a man, what you least want to do is lose his respect. Mm-hmm. He may give you the attention, and attention is actually different from respect.
Let's listen to what Myra said. Myra said, I was a martial arts instructor for 8 years. I am not, nor I have ever been aggressive. However, if I have no other option, I will govern myself accordingly. But I don't have to act the fool to get it done.
True.
And that's
true.
And that's I guess that's kind of walking with grace. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the things I think CJ is trying to describe. And I don't think that
Can
Jennifer is saying
this also. For me, it was a discipline. It was growing up and maturing. They used to call us bougie ghetto, bougie hood. We came from both sides of the fence. And I won't bring up my affiliation. I'll just say it to that degree. To where my background was. Trump just pardoned a family member. But we grew up and we did some things that were not ladylike or not feminine like, and we did roll our necks and cuss people out, and we had some get back, some revenge. But as you get older and you put away childish things and mature, and especially, like I said, for our generation at our age now, there's no way in the world that we should be the reflection, the mirror for our kids today, both male and female, because we have kids that are watching. We wonder why the kids are so out of order. When I see kids getting locked up, or I see girls doing certain things, and I'm watching social media and I see a lot of comments, and I'm thinking to myself, but they are a reflection of a lot of adults that are out of order today.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But
in the entrepreneurial, because this is where my comment came from. As far as an entrepreneur, being passive and shy have never allowed me to walk through doors in the business world. Being passive and it never allowed me to walk through the doors that I've walked through. So and being assertive. So that's my whole spiel on alpha woman.
Oh yeah.
In the entrepreneurial.
So to ask a question, can we go back to what I heard when and I know what you said as far as the husband not being able to ever say no. I think that's kind of where it generated from, because even with that snippet, and if it's out there, and again, like I said, sometimes we don't get the whole story. So
right.
We see these snippets, and it's so much bad advice out there. And when I say bad advice, it's because they don't get the full picture. So everybody is kind of moving and operating on their own accord. I tell people all the time, don't talk to me in your emotions, talk to me with facts. So they're getting basically these emotions, that snippet, which is what I saw. Now I have, somewhat of a different perspective, which we do understand that the alpha can be in the workplace. And I do understand when you say, I haven't gotten to this level based on being just a passive person. I've had to work 3 times harder than my counterparts to get to where I am today. So I do understand that part of it. But even with that, there's a lesson in humility. And I've had to patiently stand back and wait to be seen and wait to be heard. There's a time and a place for everything. and there's discernment on when you need to move on certain things.
True.
That doesn't make me an alpha woman. It makes me an intelligent female. But go ahead. I that part.
That's good.
Okay, I
That-
see one right here.
You said
Many
what?
men in the coming generations are not pulling their weight in the household. They are being taken care of by so many women.
I agree.
I mean, that's a problem. That's a problem. That goes
That's a
back
big
to
problem.
I don't know if you heard me a few minutes ago when I talked about the Willie Lynch letter, Conjure, when they talked about how to break a slave and how the natures would be reversed. I mean, you got. Let me tell y'all something, man. And now I'm gonna go a little bit. Did somebody sneeze? God
No, I
bless
said,
you.
I said,
I'm about to say God bless
I
you.
said, yeah.
But listen, this y'all gotta understand, man. I mean, Clinton was my boy, but Clinton, you know, they did a number with that. They did a number on us with that crime bill, right? Because they put a lot of black men in prison, right? And those black men were fathers, they were uncles, they were grandfathers. And when they left, it reminds me, Evangelist, of David in 1 Samuel 30, right? What happens when men are gone? As soon as the men left the camp, then, you know, left Ziklag, then the enemy came in and just wreaked havoc, right? So when all of our men, and so many of our men, at one point it was over 1 million black men in this country in prison, right? Those are uncles, grandfathers, those are fathers, those are big brothers, all those people, they're gone, and women are left. It was a time in the Robert Taylor homes in Chicago, Illinois, when it was before they tore it down. There was a time that there were over 20,000 residents, right? But like 80 to 90% of them were black women, right? So there were no men. So you got households that never saw men in the house. You got aunties and grandmamas and all this kind of stuff. And so what happens is that there's a desensitization that takes place at my, you know, I got a job, right? I ain't had one of them in a long time, so it's kind of funny to say it, but I got a job, and it's a lot of young women around me, young 23, 24, you know, things of that nature. And CJ, they cuss like sailors. I mean, like, and one day I told one, I said, girl, I'm gonna buy you a dictionary, you know, so you can learn some new words. She got hot. She was hot as a fish grace, you know, behind that situation, right? And then another one, I said, and then finally I asked, I said, do you cuss in front of your father? Well, yeah, but I don't cuss in front of my mama.
Wow.
So there's this subtle desensitization. There's this subtle, I don't want to say disrespect, but it's lack of respect. I'll say lack of respect because I ain't gonna say it's, but there's a different phase where it's almost the nature, CJ, has been reversed.
Yeah.
It's like cussing is a sign of masculinity. You know what I'm saying? It's like it gives me, you know, it gives. I don't help me out. I'll help me out. And y'all ain't talking in the chat. Talk. The phone number's there. The link is there. I mean, if you're an alpha female, come tell me you're alpha. Conjure, you an alpha female? Holler at me. What's up? Yeah, I got the mic. Come on, holler at your boy. What's up? But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you know, if you're gonna be an alpha female, be the best darn alpha female. I just don't agree with it. And again, like I said, I always have had a strong personality, and there was a time that I was out of order, you know, growing up. So you know, but I think this day and age, and I'm grateful to just, you know, be able to navigate according to the Bible. A lot of men are broken today. We look at how do I say this? There's no equality, no real equality. You look at who's in office, and he's not the first, but there's never been real equality. Going back to days of my grandfathers, both of them, you know, one owned land and he farmed and he worked, and my other grandfather, he, you know, worked for white people but he was very humble. And he would bring all of his earnings to my grandmother, and she would multiply that thing. She would save. There's absolutely no way that generation was weaker than our generation. We're actually weaker than they are. So to have our men, you know, where they are today, where there's no equality, they have to kind of fight for a paycheck. Even if you pay a woman more than you're paying a man, you know, and again, this has been a social norm, a conditioning process for a very long time, to the point of now there's no hope. And so men are looking for other resources in order to cope as a man. And
have you ever wondered why women are, have you ever wondered why women have had to step up and be assertive and be strong, and move the way that they do? Because the men haven't been in a place of taking charge and authority.
Here's the thing, in order to, with the man being broken down the way that he has been, and again, with certain people that certain cultures that are out here conditioning us to be a certain way and breaking us down, like as you mentioned with the Willie Lynch letter, how they would break the slaves, still breaking our culture down. I understand what you're saying, Jennifer, and women have stepped into certain roles where they've had to man up, so to speak, to get things done. Does that make it right? Absolutely not. What I would rather see us do, instead of hanging out on, and nothing wrong with being on social media, but you got to rightly divide reality. Don't go into I used to go see the Transformers, love the Transformers. When I came out, I thought I could transform. I thought I could, you know, but reality, I could not, you know. Get on social media, but separate reality from the mess that's out there, so you don't become a part of that mentally. And that's what's happening with the Willie Lynch. We're being broken mentally. So what I would like to see is, instead of saying, okay, well, this man is broken, so now I have to step into his role and do his role. No, why don't we encourage that man and build that man up so that man can do his role and I can stay in my role? I don't need to take on both.
That's interesting. That's interesting. So let me ask, and I want to ask the audience. They're not talking to me tonight, but that's okay. I'm gonna preach tomorrow night. Y'all can watch me tomorrow night. I'm gonna preach tomorrow night. So if y'all ain't gonna talk, if y'all ain't gonna amen me tonight, that's cool. But let me ask something. Do you, Alicia? And Dennis said there's the term alpha female is an oxymoron, he believes. Okay. But let me ask a question. Do you think the concept, Jennifer, of an alpha female, and because so much of what we do, and I heard Conjura's statement a minute ago, and I hear you, and sometimes it gets on my nerves, that statement. I hear you, I feel you. The man sat down, so we had to step up. I hear all that kind of stuff. But so much of what we have allowed to become foundations was rooted in struggle and survival, right? You know what I'm saying? And when something is rooted in struggle and survival, typically it comes with the adage of dysfunction, right? And it's easy to take dysfunction and make dysfunction normal, because anything you do in 21 days becomes a new normal, right? I just said something. I don't know if y'all caught that or not.
You just said something. You just said
something.
So just because it's right, or because we do it, doesn't make it right.
Don't make it right.
It's dysfunction, but because we've been taught to survive. See, grandmama we didn't have enough chitlin, so she put hog maws in it, right? We didn't have enough of this, so she put cornmeal in it to stretch it a little bit. I think they call it stretching. So we stretch it in society a lot of times because we'll take $1 out of 15 cents. We'll take something Conjura that is really dysfunctional, right? It was never supposed to be generations of women raising children without husbands or without the man in the house, but we had to adjust. Does that make sense? And when you adjust to something so long, even though it was root, God, Dennis,
you saying something right now.
Dennis, you ain't saying bars. I usually use my little brother saying bars or snap or something. But that's where a lot of these things come from that have emanated in dysfunction, and we've taken it, created a new normal, and called it normal. You can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig. If you put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig, regardless. And so, but because we've had to survive.
But you just reiterated what I basically said. And my mom used to say this thing, if all of your friends got on top of the roof and jumped off, are you going to jump off too? Makes no sense. So yeah, we're making this our new normal to be a certain way. And when you clarify it and actually make sense, people look at you weird now.
Yeah. Do y'all think that the alpha woman emasculates the man? And just by position, just not even by opening her mouth, not even, just standing side by side. In her mind, does she think it emasculates the man?
I think women emasculate men. I think men are out of order as well. And when men are out of order, women are out of order.
Jennifer, you shaking your head. What's the answer? Jennifer, I want your answer. This is.
Ask the question again.
I forgot. I don't write stuff down. I don't be remembering them questions. Hold on. I can't rewind it. What I say? Do you think the alpha woman in position emasculates a man? I'm not, because like I said, I've never really heard.
Because an alpha woman clearly just takes charge, and that is that's how I do it.
Who is she in charge over? Who is she?
Again, I'm coming from an entrepreneurial.
No, let's leave that. We got that one. We got that one. We understand. You established that in the first 10 minutes. Now let's move beyond just the entrepreneurial part. Let's talk about the other alpha woman that's out here. The other one, not. We know that you just entrepreneurial in your house. We got that part down. We learned that one. But in general, the ones that because I asked how many alpha women in the audience. I didn't ask how many of y'all consider yourselves to be bad bees. And I don't know if I would have got different answers on that one. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'll get different answers on TikTok. You know what I'm saying? Some will be gladly accept that role. I've heard them say it, right? But and that's the one I'm talking about. Do you think her in her position and the way she carries herself, does you think she emasculates a man? Honestly, Jennifer, I've been around a lot of dudes, and I've never heard one dude refer to himself as an alpha man. Not one time. I've never heard him. I mean, because I don't think you have to have a label. Like, for instance, if you're strong, I'm gonna say it like they say it in Southwest. Just be strong. you don't have to run around with a sign and say, I'm strong. If you're strong, you just that, and I think that's that Proverbs 31 woman. She knew she was, and she was so confident in her position that she exuded confidence. She exuded femininity. She exuded certain things, and those qualities made her who she was. And you know what those qualities made her more than anything? It made her valuable. But when we start labeling ourselves, right? I heard a quote when I was in undergrad, and it's stuck with me all these years. Katrina, it said, no man is great, and I'm not gender specific. No man is great until someone great calls you great. Right. And so, Jennifer, internet must keep cutting out. No man is great until somebody great calls you great. We can all be legends in our own mind. We can always say who we are and what we do and all these kind of things, right? But at the end of the day, never mind. I'm rambling. Let me get Jennifer. Jennifer, your internet blinking in and out on me. All right, let me see what Dennis said. Announcing who you are usually means you aren't. Oh, dang. Okay. All right. Wow. That was a good one. That was a good one. Let me drop the mic on that one. My bad, y'all. I'm drinking Pedialyte because I'm dehydrated, so I'm drinking Pedialyte. What do y'all think in the chat? I mean, because we not and like I said, nobody's attacking Jennifer. Jennifer just made a statement that was controversial to an extent, and it got somebody's attention, and I'm glad because that's the first person to ever taken one of my posts and wrote a comment about it. I'm hoping to get some stitches and all that kind of stuff. So if hopefully somebody disagree with CJ this week and want to challenge her, and I'll be glad. I'll have him come on here and we could talk because nobody's upset. Ain't nobody mad but the devil, as y'all used to say back in the day. Ain't nobody. But I guess we don't have many alpha females because ain't nobody claiming that role. Myra specifically said that she's not. She said, "I know karate. I can put you in a drop toe hold. I can beat you up, but I won't do it unless I have to. But I still want to be soft around the house."
Me too. Me too. I'm very soft around the house.
Okay. Bottom line, let me see. He said, bottom line, where do black men stand with the word of God? What's said in the book, meaning the Bible preacher. And that's what CJ is saying tonight.
He asked the question, where do black men stand? And I think Conjua, forgive me, I hope I'm not pronouncing your name incorrectly. She made a comment also about interracial relationships. Now, I don't know what this has to do with the alpha. And maybe because she mentioned ancestors going back to the past and maybe how we've been profiled and how we've been treated. This doesn't boil down to a black or white issue. I even have a problem with, race. To me, there's only the human race. We're all created equal. So let's just be clear on that. If you marry somebody of a different origin or culture, nothing wrong with that. But society is just like with this alpha term, they've made the unacceptable acceptable. And so we start thinking in that mindset that there are certain things that we cannot do. I'll tell you this, I don't believe in zodiac signs. I think they are a essence to witchcraft and divination. But when we start reading those certain things, we start living by it and think that's what we have to adhere to.
Hit the link, Dennis. Go ahead, keep talking. Dennis said he disagreed with you. I told him to hit the link. Come on.
Yeah, definitely.
You disagree. What part you disagree with, Dennis? Come in and tell us.
Please. So I'll go back with the zodiac signs, and trust me, I was a huge, say that I was an Aquarius. I don't do it anymore because when you know better, you do better. And according to believers with the Bible, just because somebody puts a horoscope out there and tell me what my future holds or my destination does not line up with what God says that I am. So with that being said, that's no different than this alpha thing that they've put out there when God has already established what male and female are to be.
Yeah. Dennis said he disagreed with the part where you said about marry, that he said he thinks you should marry within your race. That's what he said.
So that's basically saying also, are blacks only going to heaven?
I don't know. I don't agree with that either now.
No, I'm asking the question. I'm asking. No,
my point is I don't think those are saying the same thing as what I'm saying. I understand. I understand. Mm-hmm. I don't see that analogy being the same thing. I'm on my show. I don't see that analogy being the same thing. That only blacks are going to heaven. let me let you unpack that some more. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm trying to understand just marrying within your race. What does that do for you?
He can tell you. Now there's a scripture, and I remember this scripture specifically. And I can pull it up. Hold on, I got context. And I'm not saying you should marry within your race or outside of your race. I wouldn't marry outside my race. But there's a scripture in Nehemiah 13. And when you look at it, I can pull it up. Hold on. It'll make it easier if we see it and read it together. Share screen. I'm getting better at this. But what it says, and this ain't even the topic of conversation, but you got me pulling up this Bible tonight. Look at you. It says in Nehemiah 13, verse 23, in those days, I saw Jews that had married wives of Ashdod, of Ammon, and of Moab, right? Jew is one culture. Ashdod, of Ammon, and of Moab is another culture. And their children spake in the half of the speech of Ashdod and could not speak in the Jews' language, but according to the language of, I don't want to talk about this tonight. But what it's basically saying is that they got confused because, they got confused because they started mixing cultures. And then it goes on to say that Nehemiah killed them because they married outside of their race and started. Like I said, that's a different subject for a different day. We can touch that later on. I don't know how we got on.
We can come back to that, but I will clarify and say, if you married outside of those being saved, basically with that verse now, because the Bible talks about being unequally yoked.
Unequally yoked with unbelievers. Absolutely. People misconstrue
and not race.
People misconstrue that scripture all the time. Now that was unequally yoked with unbelievers, but that other one was different language. It would have been something different if it didn't say languages. Right. And when it started talking about languages, then it's talking about cultures and all of those things. And when you think about some of the things that happen when you do have the confusion that comes as a result of that. But like I said, that's a whole different situation. I don't want to talk about that tonight. We really supposed to be talking about alpha women and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, but we're beyond alpha women now. We've had that situation because women didn't really move. I don't think they really, a lot of my followers are people that follow me. I don't think they consider themselves, but I know they're assertive. I know they're strong women. I know that they handle their business. I know a lot of them have raised children. Children have gone on to college. Have graduated. Some have children that are in school now, and most ones I know are strong. So I don't see that. And even with what Jenny said, Jenny, I don't think with her clarification, I don't think she meant it like that, because I know I watch how she handles, how she interacts with her husband. You know what I'm saying? I watch how she moves in her home. She's very assertive. She's very outgoing, all those types of things. But I don't see her stepping on nobody's toes or anything. I don't see her trying to, fit in. It kind of reminds. Dennis, let me ask you a question. In your household, growing up, and CJ, you can tell me in your household how it went. But in my household, like on holidays, growing up, if say if it was Thanksgiving, right? And you got the annual Dallas and whatever game on Thanksgiving. A lot of times, back in my day, the men would pretty much be in one room watching the game together, and they talking and cracking jokes and bantering and all this stuff, and women would be in another room, right? But as time moved on, now they're sitting right beside each other on the couch. The conversations have changed, and I think culture has not been. I ain't gonna say culture is not being created, but a different type of culture is being created. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. But something is, I want there to be differences between men and women. I mean, I don't want nobody like me. I'm sorry. I don't want nobody like me. I don't want a woman that's hard as me. Me and a young lady was talking today, and like one thing I hate for anybody, especially a woman, don't call me that N word.
Right.
Don't call me that.
Right.
But sometimes, as guys, we might call each other that, right? But to me, that's an aggressive term. You know what I'm saying? It's an air of aggression that goes on with that. So that's why if a woman calls me that, I correct her immediately. No. Yeah. No. I've been in public before. Somebody didn't even know me, and they'll say that word, and I say, oh. And then when they hear my voice, they're like, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. And I'm like, don't judge a book by its cover, sweetheart. My name is James. My daddy named me James. I'm cool with that. Mm-hmm. So,
I hear you. I think when you first came on, you said that you love a strong woman. You're not intimidated by strong women
at all.
And so there are some men that are very intimidated by strong women.
Do you believe in Dennis asked you a question? Dennis asked you a question.
Do you
said-
both believe in gender roles?
Yeah, Dennis, you need to call in. You keep putting all these questions out here. Come call in. Somebody just texted me and said Dennis need to call in. Dennis, you need to call in and hit that link. He said, "Do you believe in gender roles?"
Meaning male and female?
Yeah,
What do you?
absolutely.
I think that's what I've been saying all along, that there is a divide. God created man to be head of household leadership. He's the hunter. And the woman is, she stays home and she nurtures and she multiplies that thing. She's the weaker vessel. Again, let's be clear, that does not mean that she is not strong or assertive and cannot voice her opinion. She has every right to. They're equal, but they're separate. They're equal spiritually, but their physical aspects are very different. Now, we have evolved, as you were saying, Pastor, in this day and time where, I have to go back to the football situation. You said women are used to be in one room and the men were in the other room. I don't want to talk about your weak Dallas Cowboys, but
That's not my team. I ain't got no. You know what? This is the cussedest evangelist I done heard tonight. I mean, you just cussed me out. I'm not no. Wow. Jesus, Bishop Simpson, you hear this lady cussing like she said, call me a Dallas Cowboy fan. Wow. No, I'm joking.
But even with that, you have a lot of women that love football. I also still think, stay in a feminine role. That's not something that should be fleeting. It should never go away. I don't have to act like a man or these studs that we have out here today.
Oh my God, she just saying y'all. The views of this thing or this views of this subject.
I can enjoy
that disclaimer out there. The views
are
not necessarily
a football game. I'm not gonna say how much I don't like the Dogs or the Falcons, but I'm a five-side Gator till I die.
I guess. Come on, Dennis. What you got? Do you believe in gender roles, Dennis?
my house is like I got to the show late because we're still like getting settled down. It's jumping into the summer. My kids are all over the place asking 1,000,001 questions. It's crazy around here. Our house is always I actually do. And when I hear a term like an alpha female, she's already out of place. Like I wouldn't even want her to put that type of title on herself. When you speak of an alpha female, usually when I hear somebody say it, because I have a friend who considers herself an alpha female, and she's just a woman who has high rank at work and she makes a lot of money. That's it. That's all she means by it. But she doesn't know how to turn it off when she goes home. And that's why, my friend included, we talk about this all the time, so it's not a shot at all because she'll probably watch the show. But that's a big part of why you're by yourself, too. You have to learn how to shut that off. You're a boss at work. You are a follower at home. If it's going to be a healthy relationship, the majority of the time, there's nothing that's absolutes. But if you are with a man who can't lead, this household is going to be chaotic.
Can I say something to that? Turn it off at work.
Dear.
Turn it off at work.
I
Turn the alpha off at work.
I think you could be a boss at work.
You can be, but alpha doesn't equate to just being a boss. It's something that you do. It's not who you are. As far, I can still be in my feminine role and be strong at work and give my commands and my orders and do what I need to do at work. And I don't have to be classified as an alpha with this arrogance and be ego tripping. Again, that's what I associate alpha with. I go to work every day during the week and I'm around a lot of men all day. I don't have to throw my weight around to prove my point or to get my job done. And I am more respected by a lot of men. Now, I will get more feedback or slack, so to speak, from a woman because she's challenged. Women tend to challenge one another for whatever reasons. I won't even go into all of that, but you know, when we're in the same presence with one another. But if I carry myself a certain way and do my job and be who I am, true to myself, I think you made the comment, you don't have to announce yourself when you walk in the room. Your presence does that. There's no way I'm gonna get in the main. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Have you ever, either one of you, have you ever met a woman that you would consider an alpha female?
Oh, I see them all the time. I run into them all the time. This is not the first conversation that I've had. And it does, it makes women feel some type of way. Now I pick and I choose my battles because at the end of the day, you know, these alpha women, so to speak, if they disagree, you know, a lot of people don't know how to agree to disagree, and they want to get out of character. And
what is an alpha female? What is that?
A hot mess.
Exactly. Usually it's a woman who makes a lot of money with a bad attitude. That's what I've seen.
So again, that's the definition that has been given. Again, it originated with scientists studying animals, that they determine, I guess, these females act the same way these animals act. And it was stated when I read that the female would take on these masculine characteristics to be assertive in the workplace. Wait a minute, let me rightly divide that. Again, in these last days, we're going to have a lot of false stuff that's put out here, a lot of delusion, a lot of conditioning that alters the mindset. How do we do that? We give you all of this false stuff and we mix a little truth in it to make it sound good. I don't need to hear all of that crap to be who I am as a female. Before y'all came out with that term, woman had all of these characteristics to be strong, to be assertive, to take care of her household. It started with Eve, with the curse that happened when she had to be submissive. What does being submissive mean? It means being submissive to one man. It does not mean that she cannot have a conversation with that man. It does not mean that she cannot disagree with him. It just means she cannot go out here and same with him, having affairs and doing all of this other kind of stuff that's not according to the marriage. But with him being head of household and leader, you also have a duty as a female to let this man lead. Again, that's a weight that a man carries that you, especially as his wife, need to be very supportive. Now, what also does that mean for the man? Love your wives as you love yourselves. Take care of that woman. Take care of your family. Make sure she's good. It doesn't say that you have to agree. Even with the term submission, you don't even have to be in love. It's a command. It's an order. You have to do it, period.
James, you be having the best guess. I promise you. You're going to hit a home run when you got to go get your guess.
Well, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, Dennis. And you just eavesdrop right now, CJ, if you don't mind. Let me ask you a question, Dennis. If you came home and your wife was cutting the yard, how would that make you feel?
I'd make her stop immediately.
It pissed me off. I'm sorry, I don't mean to use the word piss, but it used to make me mad to see her outside cutting the grass. I am not gonna lie. I don't care if she enjoyed it or whatever. I did not. Even after we got a divorce.
Was that her thing? She liked to do it? It was peaceful for her?
She just felt like it needed to be done. And so she was at the house, so she might do it.
Ooh,
you know what I'm saying? Hold on, CJ,
yes,
CJ. I see you, CJ, but hold on. even when we were separated or divorced, whatever. I remember one time she had a surgery on her arm or something or whatever, and she called, said her yard need to be cut. Now I couldn't get there, but I called my son. I told my son, I said, drive around the neighborhood and find somebody cutting grass. And he drove around the neighborhood, found somebody cutting grass. I said, go up there and negotiate, tell him to come to the house, give you an estimate, yada, yada, yada. I cash apped him and he paid somebody to cut that grass. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't want her doing those things. All right, CJ, what were you going to say? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. I need to finish my statement though.
That was perfect. I probably don't need to say anything. Again, I think that would be emasculating a man. Now, my father taught us how, and when I say us, the females and all of the men in our family, I can do a riding lawnmower, a push lawnmower. My father taught me how to change a tire on the car. Here's the deal. It was, in case you're by yourself, you got to be able to take care of yourself.
No doubt. No doubt. I agree with that. I understand.
So, but he told me growing up, once you get a husband, there's certain things a man does and that you need to fall back and do. Not do. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you. I wouldn't want to be a man coming home and seeing my wife cut the grass, or knowing I got a husband that's coming home. Why do I need to cut the grass?
And I ain't gonna cut it either. I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
I ain't cutting it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm a pain to get it done.
With it, no, that's just our perspective, your opinion.
Yeah.
Some men may be okay with that.
Yeah, and some are, no doubt. Some are.
Some
I ain't doing
okay with that, but
not mine.
You know, it's just so thing. My father still to this day, he'll get off work and come home and go take all the cars to get them gassed up. Mama got a full tank of gas, and I'm like, you know, but that was the male thing to do, how he grew up.
What is a woman supposed to do when a man, because a lot of men now, let me start by saying, if you are a woman talking about how weak men are, I think it says a lot about you, just like it says a lot about a man if he's talking about it's pee in the dating pool and all that other foolishness. People who have substance about themselves don't go through this. I believe that with everything in me. I've never had a problem being with somebody who was worth being with, ever, not once. But what say you to a woman who has a man who she married, she's dedicated, but he doesn't do the things that he's supposed to do around the house? Is she just supposed to let the grass get sky high?
No. So first of all, we got to go back to what attracted you to this man in the first place, to make sure all of these aspects are in place before you get a ring on your finger.
And
a lot of time the red flags and the signs are there. There's a difference between dating and courtship. And, you know, some people just date just to be out here to do whatever. Courtship is a lot of things that you need to make sure is in place so you won't have to go through these issues. Now, however, things happen throughout the relationship. And this is where conversation, counseling, prayer, you know, a woman should never feel defeated. You got a lazy man at home. Something needs to be done. Something needs to be said. But even in that, if you're married, then you need to seek help to get that taken care of. She still does not get to, there's no excuse or justification to emasculate a man. And even if it were vice versa, if a man is doing everything he can and she's not doing her obligations and her duties, same principle applies. That's a conversation. Something needs to happen to get the marriage on track. If not, then it's going to eventually fall apart. And so I think in marriage also, there has to be a lot of love and respect and communication, and how we communicate is very important. Sometimes, you know, a lot of people are just silent, and these things mount up and they escalate until somebody snaps. You never want to get to that point.
And let me address Myra and Alicia. Now, I said my wife. I ain't want my wife doing that. Now, I'm not saying all women don't do that. When some men are cool with their wives doing that. And if you were my wife, then I wouldn't want you doing that. I can't stop you because I'm not gonna. Well, Dennis said he'll make her stop. What you gonna do? Dennis, you gonna walk up and take the lawnmower from us? Give me that lawnmower.
If you don't turn this thing off.
He said if you don't turn it off. Yeah, but honestly, I don't want mine doing it. Like I said, when I
is there a difference? Like, because I love to wash my car. Is that? I mean, I don't.
That's a fine line.
It's a difference if you just have a thing that you like to do.
Yeah.
But if it's something that you're doing because I have it, or it just
Yeah. Okay. Good point. Say that again.
Yeah.
Say that again. Hold on. No. Don't say it yet. Hold on. I'm gonna give you full screen for you say that again. Hold on. I want you to say that again because that's where the emasculation comes. Come on, pop. There you go. Say it again.
I'm saying if you're taking on one of my roles because I haven't, I'm behind in the fact that I should have completed my duty, and now you feel like you have to get it done for me, or get it done. You're getting it done for us. Now, what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to let me lapse in my duty? If the talking doesn't work, you've asked me to do this for 3 weeks, grass sky high. We didn't got a bill from this association. What now?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. And I think that's what a lot of the ladies are saying. If men don't step up, then who does it? Now, it doesn't make him more of a man.
No, absolutely not.
And it doesn't make him more effective in his role as a man. Now, I love to use the term breadcrumb. I call it breadcrumbology, right? It's called subtle suggestions to get a person to the desired destination that you're trying to get them to, right? You want him to cut the grass, but he hadn't done it. So sometimes you have to use creative coercion, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, and maybe incentivize whatever. But I hear women say stuff like, I ain't finna feed your ego. Well, why wouldn't you feed your man's ego?
That's the power women in the past had that women don't now.
If you feed your ego, do you realize what you get out of him from feeding his ego? Because he's yours. I'm talking about marriage. I'm not talking about what we do.
Men have to do the same thing for women too.
And we have to do the same thing for women. Yeah,
that's right.
That's the thing. We have to do the same thing.
And even going with the alpha and what you're speaking on now, why is it such a competition between the two? Why is it competing against? We're supposed to be unified to work together, but it becomes a competition.
I don't know.
Everybody wants to show that they put more effort into the relationship than the other person. I would rather we compete to love each other the most.
That part.
Boy, you just said something right there.
Yeah, so
just said something right there. And maybe we'll get off 50-50 and get on 100-100.
Yep.
If we all got on 100-100 instead of 50-50, then there wouldn't be no competition. Everybody just be putting their best foot forward.
Yeah. I think like once you're in the right situation, that person loves you so good, you're in competition to love them just as much. That relationship can't fail.
That's good stuff right there, buddy. That is good stuff. That's good stuff.
And I think I always say this too. That situation doesn't happen until a man is ready for it to happen. I think we could get almost every woman to be on that same page, but most men aren't there.
Oh yeah, and that's why we are where we are. Like I said earlier, when you do something so long, even if it's dysfunction after a long time becomes the new normal. And you start to function in that dysfunction, right?
But sometimes, people will get married, and you said that falls on the man. Sometimes they think they're ready, and then it doesn't show up until after the fact. So then what do you do?
He's still making a choice to be insufficient, though. So that's tough for the female because, like I said, I believe that relationships they come and go as the man wants them to go. So it's tough. Dating and marriage is way harder for females than for men, in my opinion. In my opinion, that's not a fact at all. It's way tougher. And that's why it's so much power in being submissive. It's a lot of power in that. The fact that I trust you to lead us to where we're headed.
That's a lot.
Myself and our children, we're betting on you.
So, and then that was a point that Jennifer had made, you know, because when you do find a weaker man or insufficient man, so to speak, this is where that alpha comes out of the female. She feels like I need to step into the male role, and it becomes a guard to protect ourselves as women. So if I can show him what he's supposed to be doing, or if I got to do it myself, now I'm protecting myself from getting hurt.
Miss CJ.
Yes, sir.
Have you ever been with a man and he switched up on you?
Yeah.
You have? I've never been with a woman that switched up. Have you, Big Bro? Have you ever been with a woman that switched up on you? I see who a person is after the second to third hang. It don't even take
Man,
Give me 50.
you got it.
Generally, women,
I'm so oblivious.
Women will, you know, kind of move based off of what we think it should look like.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that being said, and once you get into it and you have this vision of what it's supposed to look like, and it doesn't end that way or happen that way, and then that's when you get the result of what you're speaking of. So typically sometimes men will, you know, pick who you want to be with. A woman is waiting to be picked. And so, you know, that's why patience is so important, and to make sure, like I said, make sure all of those aspects are there, because what you don't want to do is get into it and then you got to go through all this drama.
You asked me that question. I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. Number one, I haven't been in many relationships, first of all. And number two, I'm so oblivious that I don't even realize somebody might like me for a long, you know what I'm saying? Because I can just be in a look, one day somebody said, Bishop, they call me Bishop. I don't know why, because I do not desire the office of a bishop. But that's what scripture. But anyway, and they said, you so oblivious, you can't tell when a woman hitting on you to say your life. I'm like, no, I guess I missed it. So no, they ain't switching up on me. I've chosen very few. You know, I just haven't been in a lot of relationships, man. Maybe I'll break that down next show, little brother. But I think men have three vices, and I didn't choose women as one of them at a certain point in my life. I chose me. You know what I'm saying?
What's the other two?
And we're not gonna talk about that right now. I'll text it to you later on. I'll text it to you later on. but one of them is wine. but we'll get to the next one. But wine and women, but I'll give you the other one later on in life. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, let me text you right now, because I want to see your facial expression when I say it. I want to see your facial expression when I say it. Everybody else gonna be like, "What did he say?" I don't know what he said, but I'm sure finna say it. I'm finna say it to my little brother right now. I'm finna say it to my little brother right now, because that's my little brother. I don't care. And we could talk as men, but hey, I don't care. I really don't care. I really don't.
That's
and Pastor CJ, I'm pretty radical. And I'll say in a heartbeat that my stress level went down the more my middle finger started going up. But when I say that, I'm saying it in jest, because I'm not walking around flipping. I'm not flipping people off. You know what I'm saying? But it's an attitude that I had to change to get me to a certain point to move forward. So I'm just James. You know what I'm saying? I'm the best, trying to be the best me I can be. And every day I become he laughing because he got my text. I'm sorry. And I can tell you which one I chose. It's in the middle. But so that's we gonna leave that for another day. Okay. So listen, I'm ready to go because I'm tired. I went to work at 8:30 this morning, so I got to. Listen, we're gonna do this again, Dennis Wednesday night. It's your fault. Dennis told me I need to come on more often, so I'm gonna come on. Listen, CJ, stay here, Dennis. Don't go nowhere. CJ, I'm gonna go ahead and let you go right now.
Okay.
I'm gonna reach out to y'all. Y'all say bye to CJ. Thank you, CJ. I appreciate you for your
you.
It
perspective.
was nice to meet you.
Nice. All right.
You too.
Dennis loves all my guests, so he loves all my guests.
Man, that be so sharp.
Thank
night.
you.
Good night.
You had a great show. I appreciate all of your knowledge and your opinion. I'm gonna send you a friend request.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you there.
All right, now, and y'all, Dennis has a very good following as well. So it's for him to hang out with us, I really do. I don't take it lightly because Dennis is a very
I
intelligent
have
brother.
no idea why they have. I got 5,000. I'm like maxed out at the 5,000, and then I got like a ton of people following me. The podcast thing has 30,000 followers. I have no idea why they haven't like extended my page to like, because it's so many from. I'm like, I can't even accept them.
Have you turned your page to a professional mode?
I'm a FaceTime you tomorrow so you can show me how to walk through, because I have.
Oh, yeah,
and they verified me. Like I got a verified check on my thing. Like,
yeah, you got to go to professional mode. But I'll show you how to do it.
What's what?
All right, listen. Tomorrow night, Dennis, I'm gonna do stewing over scripture tomorrow night. Okay, and I'm gonna dealing with the spirit of offense.
Oh,
because so many people are offended, and I used to be like that. Okay, I'm not offended as much as I used to be. So tomorrow night, y'all tap in because we're gonna deal with the spirit of offense. All right, and then Wednesday night we'll have another open mic night. Now, Wednesday night's open mic night is gonna be a true open mic night. Okay, I'm gonna have no agenda, no guest, no anything. I'm gonna get on, and when whoever calls in first, whoever taps in first, they're going to be the one who guides the conversation, okay? Because that's where we're going to start going with this eventually, all right? So
for the
Wednesday
people who don't know, you're like one of my mentors, so I'll definitely have a question for you on Wednesday.
All right, cool. You jump on, and I don't know why he chose me, but I'm cool with it. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate it. Dennis played college basketball at Kent State. He has daughters now who play and run track and all those things, and they're going to be D1 athletes and all those things. So, and Dennis has a lot of kids, and he takes care of them babies. So,
and the house is packed right now. Everybody in here ripping and running. I've been hitting the mute button when they come in here asking questions. One of my daughters, she just got a top performer of it was like hundreds of kids, and she just got top performer. Like they're
what grade? What grade?
She's going into her senior year.
Okay, is she getting looks already?
Yeah. Oh yeah, all of my daughters have looks already.
Okay. D1.
My oldest daughter, she's 19. She's in her room sleep now. She's she's just finished her freshman year. Okay. She'll be going to she's transferring out of the school that she went to. She'll be at another Division I school this year. Okay. I couldn't ask for more. Like when I tell you, it sounds crazy, but even as a child, I always said, like, I really feel like God loves me a little bit more than everybody else. And everybody's like, well, why would you say something like that? I'm like, dude, he gives me the best everything. I got the best children, the best woman by my side. I got the best mentor I'm on the phone with right now. Boy. I got the best friends. I got the best. You can't tell me with all of the circle that he put around me, he doesn't love me a little bit more than everybody else.
Wow. That's a blessing.
It has nothing to do with me. It's my circle.
Yeah.
There's no way you blessed me with all of this and you don't care about me a little bit more than everybody else.
Ain't that something? Now, Dennis, don't forget, I got the blog contest going on. So the blog contest is with the slogan, the world is changing. Why do you remain the same? Right? So what they get to do is, here it is. They get to participate in blog competitions, either one page or a 90-second video blog explaining what the world is changing, why do you remain the same means to you. And if you submit it and you win, you'll win $250.
What's the due date on that?
The due date is July the 1st.
Did you get my brother, he did a 90-second blog. Did you get that yet?
I haven't checked. I need to check and see if he got it.
Oh, he got a home run for you. I don't know if he sent it yet, but he got a home run for you.
And it's really simple. All you have to do is go to my website and you can upload it right there. If you go to the page that says the world is changing, why do you remain the same? If you go to that page, you can upload. You just upload it, and when I upload it, I'll check. I haven't checked it yet because, like, I know it's not due until July 1st. But I'm not. And listen, y'all. Some of y'all think I like y'all better than somebody else. I'm not judging, so don't think you're gonna talk me into win. I'm not judging. That wouldn't even be fair. Right. So number one, first prize $250. Second prize is a $100 gift card, or I might give you a choice and let you get the cash out, whichever one. And then prizes 3, 4, and 5 are going to be the T-shirt. Those of you who have not, have you seen them? This is the shirt for those who have not seen it.
I like that. Let me see if that's what I'm talking. Yep, I love that shirt.
Yeah, and on the back it has the words, "The world is changing while you remain the same." So they're available. What you laughing at, Myra? But yeah, so y'all go right to the website. It's really, really simple. Hold on, let me find it for you because
I love
here it
Myra
is.
in the comments too. She's sharp.
Oh, Myra's super sharp, man. Myra's a testimony. You hear Myra, man.
She's sharp.
I tell people Myra's testimony because Myra went to the doctor one time, bro, to get because she thought she was having sinus infection.
Mhm.
And Myra found out she had stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Mm.
And bro, she's a testimony. When I say a testimony,
She's amazing. I love
oh
her
yeah.
comments. Her,
Y'all see the website? That's the website right there, y'all.
that's
And it has
amazing.
everything about the contest. And right here at the bottom, you can go right there and you can upload the file right there. It's real simple. Nothing hard about it. 90-second video blog or a 1-page written blog. But it has to be creative. And it has to, and you have to be creative, and it's going to have to be thought-provoking. And it's going to have to be your perspective of it. You know what I'm saying? And but just think about it. The world is changing. Why do you remain the same? The only thing I know, Dennis, that dies standing straight up is a tree. And it takes years to fall.
I was gonna say even the tree leans when it dies.
But even a dead tree is useful though. Birds still show up. Bugs still show up. You know what I mean? Animals show up. I mean, the dead tree is still. You can take a dead tree and use parts of it for firewood. You know, it's so much. There's so much use. I had this young lady at work today. You know, she gave me a very limited perspective of something. So I threw a quarter on the table, and I said, "Tell me everything you see." And she said, "I see in God we trust. I see this. I see this." I said, "That's all." And I kept saying, "That's all." And I kept saying, "That's all." And then I made her almost. I'm like, because I see letters. I see an alphabet, part of the alphabet. I see a head. I see a president. I see numbers. You know what I'm saying? I see so many different things. And that's all a matter of perspective, right? So when you think about that slogan, the world has changed. So much has changed. In my 52 years, you know how much I've seen? I mean, man, it was crazy. I'll never forget 911 of 2001 when I was on my way to work. And all of a sudden, I got a phone call and talked about some planes flying into the World Trade Center. You know what I'm saying? I'll never forget watching the news and seeing those people in New Orleans have to be displaced because of Katrina coming in. Then next, you know, up the street from my church, a whole hotel has to be converted to accommodate these people. We've seen so many changes in our lifetime, bro, that we discount because most times I got a chapter in my book where I say there were times I kept going when I should have sat down. Because, like, for instance, when my friend and I withdrew the right hand of fellowship from each other and never really talked for about 5 or 10 years, you know what I'm saying? When we probably should have sat down and had a conversation, right? Or the time I had a head-on collision car accident and I didn't even go to the hospital. I went home, and then next day I went to church and moved on like nothing even happened. Though, you know, sometimes you need to sit down and reflect and think and understand what's transpiring right now, especially if my life is a seed, right? If everything about my life is purpose, right? And this purpose has a plan, and I have to go through this purpose. And in order to go through the purpose, I got to go through a process. And when I go through the process, sometimes the process feels like surgery with no anesthesia, but God gives me sneak previews. He gives me a detailed description. Okay, we're going to go through the valley. But even though when you go through the valley, don't worry about it because I got a rod and a staff that's going to comfort you. You know, I understand you're going to go through these things. And when we understand that, purpose seems a little bit more powerful because I was cognizant. I was aware as I went through it. I wasn't, as I said about women, I wasn't just oblivious. I was aware, right? And I think as we go through this thing called life, and the world is changing, and if we're not changing with it, we're not evolving. And are we living? Because existence, watch this. Matthew Henry said this, and I'm going when I tell you this. Matthew Henry said existence doesn't deserve the name of life.
You get I'm gonna make you stop because you starting to slide off into what I started writing my thing.
Like, go ahead.
Maybe
you started
like
writing what?
5 days ago, and you're sliding into where I was headed.
Yeah.
You're sliding into where I was headed.
That's good. That's good. Listen, I'm gonna let you go because I know you got a family and everything. I appreciate you, bro. So I'm gonna go and take you out. I'll be on tomorrow night. It's probably 9:30ish, somewhere around it. Once I get off work, I'll get on again.
I'll be tuned in. I appreciate everything you do. You doing your thing, and I'm really proud of you.
All right, young bro. I appreciate you, man.
Have a good night.
You too. All right. That's it, y'all. I appreciate you all for hanging out with your boy tonight. I know we've been on for a couple of hours almost. CJ, I appreciate you. Oh, Emmanuel, you missed it. That's okay though. I'll be on tomorrow, but I'm teaching tomorrow night. I'm gonna be dealing with the spirit of offense. We got to get past being offended by everything because everything is not about us. Everything is not. So tomorrow night we're gonna deal with the spirit of offense. So listen, if you need a shirt, hit me up. If you want to participate in the blog, there's a $250 first prize. Go to my website, go.intellectualstew.com. Go to that page and upload your blog. 1 page written, 90-second video, 90 seconds, and be as creative as you want to be. You have till July the 1st to get those blogs in. And my judges will judge those, and we will announce the winner on the show on July the 14th. But in order to win, you're gonna have to be listening live that night. So go to my page, my friends, and share that for me. It's not limited. Anybody can join, anybody can submit. It's free. I'm not charging a submission fee or anything, but you can win $250 first prize, $100 second prize, right? And I'm probably gonna end up putting the money up unless I get donations, but that's fine. I'm cool with it either way. All right. So as I always say in closing, and I'm going to say it now, and tomorrow night I'll see y'all again, but the world is changing. My question for you is, why do you remain the same? I love y'all, and good night. Good.
Intellectual Stew.
Powerful and provocative, prophetic and practical,
Have you ever found yourself?
Are you dating for that person?
informative and
I feel
inspirational.
every bit of it. Like, I'm not trying to waste my
How you gonna do better if you don't know what better looks like? I do.
Intellectual Stew.
Come on, let's talk about it with me, the mind